Hey, I'm Rich. I build stuff. Pay no attention to the amber liquid in the cup. This is part 5 of my B-17 build playlist. So, last time, assuming I haven't had a memory lapse, I had been about to go ahead and put together my fuselage bits, and it kind of smoothed out and reasonably good at this point. All that sanding and smoothing. I guess I should first smooth out a bit of the inclusions and whatnot, random bits of dust, schmutz, and hair that have embedded themselves in the primer with a higher grade grit of sandpaper than I previously used. And here I go, doing something I mentioned just a moment to make things even better. All that sanding and smoothing. The plan, in case y'all missed it, was to, oh, there we go. Come on. There we go. There we go, sort of. Was to fill some of these gaps in order to, as closely as possible, mimic various panel lines that existed on the bomber and in the original model kit. And then here I go, taking more sandpaper and cutting it out, and what I edited out was a big, long expose of me just saying how sandpaper is rated in grit as in bumps per square inch, basically. So yeah, the more the smoother, because infinite bumps would be a perfect glass plate. Math is weird. Okay. And then I'm just talking about how I'm going to smooth out the edges of this fuselage top bit to make it match nicely. Something I'm supposed to do here. Oh, yeah. All that sanding and smoothing. Oh god, I'm 12. Figured I needed to add some, I guess I'm going to call it spacing bits to this cutout of the top of the fuselage, over where the cockpit and stuff is. So I'm going to try to glue in some strips of styrene after, of course, sanding away all the putty and whatnot. At least 12-year-olds are amusing. Not like this realization I made where, oh hey, things are not going to line up until after I've glued them all in place and then smooth them out and then made the scribe lines, so I'm going to have to make the interior before the exterior after all, but still somehow make the interior safe from working on the exterior. Great. What I did is I attached some bits of styrene strip. And then, once that was there, and kind of, did a bit of, run a little test of some of them, then check, and then do it again kind of deal. Alright, let's see. A little bit. Does look to fit a smidge better now. So, since I'm going to have to work on the interior really before solving the exterior, time to go ahead and resolve some of my issues with these interior kind of floor scribe lines that I created, because the model originally had these as raised panel lines in the flooring as well, and well, I really hate raised lines. I don't even care if they were historically accurate to have them raised or not. I absolutely hate them. I hate the aesthetic. I really like that, just, when you put on, not just, that, I don't want to dry brush my panel lines. I want to ink wash them, okay? That's also part of what this boils down to. Historical purists for the model come out and go, but they were raised, you should play it like it lies. Well, historical purists. So you skip all the vaccines because historically people died of polio too? Don't give them ideas, Rich. Just fill in the gouge lines here to smooth things over, or make things bigger so you can smooth them out with sandpaper later. Just forget about all the chaos and just make models. Unfortunate that we all can't do this. I hope you can get some vicarious amusement through me. It's a good thing I'm gonna sand this down reasonably flat later. Otherwise, this would just be, like, with deliberation and care, ruining everything. Alright, so I figured, since I'm going to be working on the interior a bit more again, I might as well start getting back to smoothing this thing out. Plus, I might actually even be able to do a little bit of painting this month, and that'll really be something to be thankful for, you know what I'm saying? Okay, yeah, I know. Joking about Thanksgiving, Rich, that's kind of low, don't you think? Low, sure. But anyways, here I'm just cutting out some excess bits of fake structure I made with some strips of plastic. Alright, so I'm just cleaning this out. I sharpened up some of the windows, dug out some of the schmutz. But realized, you know, I need a Q-tip. But Q-tips are all the way downstairs, and I'm lazy. So here's what we're going to do. Take some paper towel that we do have. Take some of the Mr. Color Thinner, because I did use that to thin out the putty, and it seems to help a little bit. And, well, here we go. Instant Q-tip. And I've got my gloves on, because I learned through a bit of, you know, unfortunate coinkydinks that I seem to be somewhat allergic to things like Magic Sculpt. Which is, yeah, minorly irritating. Minor inconvenience, but that's life. Okay, now I just gotta clean this guy off, so if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna do that real quick. Yeah, I'm choosing Magic Sculpt because it's gonna dry pretty hard and sturdy and sandable, and I'll be able to shape it to the correct, you know, to what I need it to be. You know, it came really cheap. It was like, what? I don't think it was even 20 bucks for these big tubs, and it's gonna last you for bloody ages, so that's good. That's nice. Okay, just so this thing doesn't throw off everything too much. And then I'm going to have to replace this scalpel soon because it's losing its sharpness. That's a lot more reasonable. So now I'll just let this dry out a bit. Hey! Totally different surroundings, because the only constant in my life sometimes seems to be change. And, well, I had to move shop locations to a room we kind of had downstairs. Not quite ideal, as you can guess, but good enough for my needs, and it'll last at least a little while. Plus, now I'm back downstairs with the kids and everybody, so I'm a bit more accessible. You know, kids feel less lonely, all that very important stuff, actually, to me, believe it or not. Alright, so there's that. And there it is. And what is also here is me painting the interior of the fuselage, kind of blending things together. I looked at a couple of tours of a B-17 on YouTube just to try to get a sense of the colors and guess at them as best I could. You saw me with the syringes earlier. Yeah, so I measure colors as best I can using those syringes to, you know, control how much of what paint gets added in. And I try to keep a 50-50 mix of paint and thinner. And you're about to see that. Yep, here we go. Because I'm going to add a lot more thinner than the other paints. And then, of course, I take the airbrush and spray, which we'll see in different stages. But yeah, that's why I use the syringes for my airbrush paint, so that I can try to control the proportions of the mix to try to get some color consistency, even if I'm mixing paints together. And there I go, just spray, try to make things good. You'll notice that the interior is not primed like the exterior, and interestingly enough, it seems to be A-okay. So that's good for me. And then other things that are good or not good are these photoetch pieces here that I've got to go ahead and fix up with this set of snips here. And then you'll see me in some of the next bits folding them, like here. Fold it, use the fancy device to, well, I guess make it fall apart and wish it was better. And then go ahead and learn a bit more of how to use it and fold metal bits up because it works like a micro press brake, almost. And, yeah, just fold things up and make things fit, and, you know, make a nice model as best I can if photo etch in plastic, super gluing it in this place, and then you'll see in a bit that I solder something, but that's not quite now. Alright, and some, of course, obligatory hemming and hawing over the instructions to see, do I really need to follow this? And here's that piece now, speaking of soldering and hemming and hawing, that I had to hem and haw over with some math, and then solder in place, which you're going to see in a bit. I don't know what's a voice over here. Yeah, so there I am, just kind of pointing out various pieces, how they need to be bent and worked over to try to fit into that circle bit. Looking at the instructions, and then you're going to see me do some math in a moment or two to try to fit things in. So, my thought process here is what to do. Well, I want these all to fold to the same, so it's the same height. So that means that the bends for these got to be different enough to give you that. So going over here, I did gonna do a little bit of math and try to kind of guess. I know the math kind of would treat these as going straightly perpendicular, and they're not, but it's gonna probably get me close enough. I may give just a little more distance, you know, to compensate or something. Math! But basically I took some measurements. I tried to make it so when I bent those legs, the longer ones and the shorter ones would still bend to the same height, like from where that circular center bit is. And I used the calipers to measure, and I tried a few methods to score into the you know, thin metal itself, but I found that a scalpel was the best. And as you can see here, after the scouring and trying to think of exactly where I need to put things, and a bit of help from the scalpel, I go ahead and I fold these things up, and I actually got really close enough that I was able to make the thing stand up, as you'll see in some future frames of this vid. Yeah, voiceover to add a sound effect to bending something. I can do better, but nah, we came here for hilarity and model making, not for expert video editing. So there we go, and oh yeah, I forgot the I think that is the best approach is going to be to solder this, actually. And here I go starting to solder it, so I try to be kind of ornate and gentle, so that's a small bead of solder you'll see me working with there with a giant soldering iron. And of course I don't use flux because I've never had to use flux before. That's going to change in the near future, but also I end up having to put some of the solder on before putting the pieces together, and then adding a little more, and of course add just that smidge too much because that's how these things go. I do have to then clean up the solder after the fact, but at least you know it's nice and secure, and then I can, you know, fold it into the other positions, and that's why I use solder, because super glue wasn't going to hold. Now what I have here is the table, you know, and previously, for those of you who were around earlier, you know, in the first videos, I covered the top with a wood veneer because that's what seemed to be, you know, on the actual bomber itself. So I go ahead then, and it didn't have like a rim like the ones that I saw in, like, you know, YouTube walkthroughs were, so I go ahead and I add one here. And you may also see me do some painting on the bottom of it to, you know, keep the color going all around. So yeah, I used it, I think I used the full thickness of the paint, so not really mixing it 50-50 with water like I normally do. And that's just because on something like that, I want the opacity. But on other things like the little cross members themselves that I made out of plastic, that I mix with water just to keep it, you know, able to flow and be nice. And there that table was in place, but now you see this little micro SD lamp thing that I'm going to cover with some Magic Sculpt. And I do that just to, you know, make it look like it's an actual lamp. And I do a bit of shaping and forming and trying to get it to go nicely together. I'm wearing gloves for this and a lot of other stuff because it seems to have become allergic to Magic Sculpt or something. I don't know. All I know is that when I handled it without the gloves, my hands got itchy, and because I touched my face got itchy. And here I am, I'm also using some masking tape to try to mark a point on the cable itself of where it ought to bottom out on the table. I don't use this bottoming out point, I use a slightly different one just because I want it to, you know, I plan on having that light put somewhere where it'll actually light up the whole area. So this is going to be like a little light that goes on the desk that I have you saw me glue on. Alright, now just to briefly zoom in here. So you're probably wondering, hey, why are we holding this bit upside down? Because that's like the chin turret, and this is like the up bit. Well, the reason is just that that's how the instructions have it oriented for part of this. And although I did reorient just to support this little bit of work right here, which is making sure that this table could be fitted in nicely and without, you know, non-detail crunchingly into his position. It looks like he can. It looks like I've got this light here that I can paint up and have good and have it ready for, you know, when I do everything else with it to, you know, basically I'm going to use the glow of that light there to maybe, you know, illuminate some kind of plan or something, or maybe some Easter egg, I don't know. And then I'll have that light kind of bouncing off of everything to help light up the whole interior and make it easier to see. And of course, making things easy to see in the interior is what I want to do with that light and other lights I'm going to add. And as you can see here, just a bit of high speed, I guess. Sorry, I guess I couldn't resist. Fiddling around with some of the photoetch just to make it a bit more manageable. Because there was a lot of folding and, or at least a lot of sanding and getting things ready. Here we go, though, a bit more normal speed will be soon, I'm sure. But there I am, bending things together. See? Normal speed. Just using the scalpel for that side there. So that photoetch bender is proving pretty useful and a good purchase. It doesn't let me nicely, straightly bend every angle. But with some creative use like you saw with that scalpel there and the tweezers here, it does help a lot in terms of keeping things nicely lined up. You'll see in the next video that I've done, I'll be doing gluing, painting, all that nice stuff for this thing, as well as other work. And well, you can at least see me put it together here, so here's the next piece. From what I can tell, that was like a bunch of like radio or navigation equipment or whatnot that was in the navigator compartment. Probably like navigation equipment of some kind or something just to maintain that Norden bomb site. Yep, fold. Yep. So, but there you go, and now it's about time for letting it go ahead and go to the outro, so I hope you enjoyed this. Here you go. That's a powerful little death ray, isn't it? It's not quite note the dime, but I should pull out a dime. Figured I wanted a little more before I did a outro. Apparently I'm going to need a more temperature-resistant mat to do the soldering bit on with this torch thing, though. Alright, but anyways. So, that was part 5 of my B-17 build playlist. I hope you enjoyed. We seem to be picking up pace a little bit now, or at least I am. I'm not sure about you guys, but yeah. So, I'm going to go ahead and get this edited. And, yeah. Alright, hopefully you like it and you all stick around for part 6, and I can try to keep up this once-a-month pace, roughly once a month. And I guess it's time for the standard YouTube dance of like, share, subscribe, hooray! Hey, peace out.